overflowing with gratitude, rooted and built up in Him, strengthened in the faith as you were taught, and overflowing with thankfulness. Colossians 2:7 Gratitude is not merely a polite response to good circumstances. It is a deep, unshakable current that flows from the heart of a person who knows they have been given more than they could ever earn. To overflow with thankfulness is not to ignore pain or pretend that everything is perfect. It is to see the gifts of God so clearly that even in the midst of lack, you cannot help but give thanks. It is to be so aware of grace that gratitude becomes your natural posture, not a duty, but a delight. Think of a cup filled to the brim. Add one more drop and it spills over. That is the picture Paul paints. A life so saturated with awareness of God's goodness that thankfulness cannot help but splash out onto everything, every conversation, every situation, every ordinary moment. The overflow is not forced, it is inevitable. When you truly grasp who God is and what He has done for you, gratitude becomes less like an obligation and more like breathing. But let us be honest, gratitude does not always come naturally. In a world that trains you to notice what is missing, to compare your life to others, to complain as a reflex, thankfulness can feel like a discipline, something you must choose again and again. And that is precisely what it is. Gratitude is a muscle, it must be exercised, it must be practiced, especially when you do not feel like it. How do you cultivate an overflowing heart of thankfulness? You begin by remembering. The psalmist often commanded his own soul to bless the Lord and not forget His benefits. Memory is the soil in which gratitude grows. When you rehearse the faithfulness of God, the prayers He answered, the doors He opened, the times He carried you when you could not walk, your heart shifts from scarcity to abundance. You realize you are not destitute, you are surrounded by mercies. Start small. Before you ask God for anything, thank Him for something: the breath in your lungs, the roof over your head, the friend who checks on you, the sunrise that came without your help, the forgiveness that is yours through Christ, the promise that He will never leave you. These are not small things, they are the very pillars of your existence. And when you name them one by one, gratitude begins to rise like a tide. Overflowing gratitude also requires you to stop comparing. Comparison is the thief of thankfulness. When you look at what others have that you do not, your heart grows stingy and sour. But when you look at what you have that you do not deserve, starting with salvation itself, you realize you are richer than you ever knew. The person with the smallest house and the fullest heart is wealthier than the one with the largest estate and a constant appetite for more. Gratitude is also a weapon. It is hard to be anxious and thankful at the same time. It is difficult to stay bitter while listing blessings. It is nearly impossible to remain discouraged when you are counting gifts. Paul and Silas, beaten and imprisoned, sang hymns at midnight, and the prison shook. Their gratitude did not change their circumstances immediately, but it changed them. And then it changed their circumstances. Gratitude is not denial, it is defiance. It is the declaration that God is good even when life is hard. What if today you stopped waiting for everything to be perfect before you give thanks? What if you thanked God for the trial, because it is teaching you to trust Him? What if you thanked Him for the waiting, because it is deepening your dependence? What if you thanked Him not only for the harvest, but for the plowing, the planting, and the rain? That kind of gratitude is not naive. It is revolutionary. It is the gratitude of a heart that believes God is at work even in what He has not yet explained. Overflowing gratitude also spills onto others. You cannot be truly thankful and remain stingy with your encouragement, your time, your resources. Thankfulness makes you generous. It makes you quick to affirm, quick to give credit, quick to say thank you to the people around you. A grateful person is a joy to be near. An ungrateful person drains the room. Which one do you want to be? Today, take an inventory of your blessings, not the ones you wish you had, but the ones you actually have. Write them down if you must. Speak them aloud. Thank God for each one. And then let that thankfulness overflow into your prayers, into your conversations, into your attitude when things go wrong, into the way you treat the difficult person in your life. Let gratitude be not a fleeting emotion, but a settled orientation, a river that runs beneath the surface of every day, fed by the endless spring of God's goodness. You have been given so much, more than you know, more than you deserve, not because you earned it but because He is good. Let that truth saturate you, let it rise up like a well, and let it overflow, not as a performance, but as the natural response of a heart that has tasted the grace of God and found it sweeter than anything the world can offer. Overflow with thankfulness. Not when circumstances improve. Not when you feel like it. Now, because the gifts are already here, the giver is already present. And gratitude is the key that unlocks the door to joy. Turn the key, step through, and live overflowing.